And the Golden Glove goes to... You got it. Moonlight.
I'm a classic man. You can be me.
If you have seen this film and you've told a friend, all I ever say is, please tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend.
Young OG, I'm a classic man. Your knees get met by the street, elegant, old-fashioned man. Yeah, baby, I'm a classic man. I burn through the hood like war. When everybody feeling so cold, I cool like that King Cole.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to our Clique.
Thank you.
So 14 years ago, you do your first movie.
I'm Micah.
Angela.
Nice to meet you, Angela.
You have the studios calling you, you do your second movie, believing in yourself, and now everybody's showing some love from all around the world. How do you feel?
It feels good, man. You know, when it's an independent film, there's no guarantee that anybody's gonna see the movie. Like, I never thought I'd be sitting in a hotel room in Paris with, you know, all the clique here, you know, listening to me talk. So it feels good, man. But what it really feels like is, you know, all this stuff that's happening, the Golden Globes, all that, it's great.
Mom, you gave me my life, and I hope being on the stage right now is a fulfillment of the life that you gave me.
But I remember, you know, we made this film in 25 days, and I remember being there with the crew for those 25 days, and all this stuff was, you know, this was invisible. It was all about the work. And so to now get to this point and see people actually wanting to come out to the cinema and engage that work, it's beautiful, you know? It's like you guys hope 1 million people watch this interview, you know? And if they do, it feels good, right? You know, I'm here right now, but you know, when this all ends, I'm gonna have, just like any other writer, a blank piece of paper, you know? And it starts all over again. So I can't allow any of this stuff to feel more special than when I have that blank piece of paper.
As a writer, I like to talk about the structure of the movie, because what I love, it's not like the third act classic structure that we see in all the studio movies. It's like 3 times of his life, and it feels like it's not an American it's not an American script, what I saw.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the films that I love are foreign films, you know. Claire Denis is my favorite filmmaker, a French filmmaker. Wong Kar-wai also. So when I'm approaching these stories, you know, yes, I'm born in America, I watch a lot of American films, but I also have other influences as well, so I'll take that as a compliment, my friend.
No, it is, and I have a simple question. What's your definition of an independent movie? Because every time they talk about Moonlight, they're like, it's an independent movie, but I don't see the difference.
I think in America, it's about the studio system versus like outside the studio system. So like, you know, Universal, Sony, Fox, you know, the really big companies. So I think any film that doesn't get made by one of the studios, we consider independent, especially because of the way we finance films in the States, there's no government funds, you know? It's all private equity. So if the studio doesn't give it to you and you go get it somewhere else, they consider you independent.
When we talk about the system and the studios, I would like to talk about the image of the black male in those movies, in the American studio movie. Because when we see in your movie the character of Juan.
Some boys chased him in the cut. He's scared more than anything. He wouldn't tell me where he lived till this morning.
Well, thanks for seeing to him.
This is the extreme opposite of what we've seen in the studio movie when they take this stereotype of a black male living in a ghetto and doing money, because we always see the image of a heartless man and then he's taking care of a kid.
Yeah. You know, I think stereotypes, they often, they originate outside the culture, you know? I'm building that character off the person I knew, not off the stereotypes I've seen in different films or different television or in radio or magazines. So to me, it's not even about a stereotype or not a stereotype. It's about trying to translate the human being, but it kind of goes back to what you said about, you know, an independent film. You know, this movie started with a play, and the play was written by this guy, Terrell McCraney, who actually knew a drug dealer who kind of protected him from the people, from the kids in the neighborhood. And so we were modeling the character off a real person. And when you do that, the stereotype just doesn't exist.
It's not what I expected. What did you expect?
You know, in the 90s, we had like directors like the Hugh brothers or John Singleton who influenced our generation, and they were showing the hood, showing characters like O-Dog.
What the fuck you say about my mom? I don't want any trouble. Just get out. You talking shit. Every time I come in this motherfucker, you got something to say.
Like Merciless, Crazy, and now we have Run.
Little man.
I actually really liked that movie. It was one of the movies that I felt like was actually true about what life was like in the hood.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you to cry.
But, you know, it only showed one side of it. And so I think, not that it's a problem, but I think the situation that happens is you only have one or two of these movies, you know, and so that movie becomes really important, you know. It's like the only version of that story you get. You know, there could be a character like Juan in Menace to Society, you know, but that film is not about him. I think they live in the same world.
I'm talking about Menace to Society, and this is not for free, because to me there is an affiliation between your two movies. And I feel that the new Menace to Society for the other world who's not living into the ghettos are the fact that your characters and what you're trying to say are accepting their humanity.
And stop putting your head down in my house. You know my rule. It's all love and all pride in this house.
Yeah.
It feels that there is more a political act to make this character talking about...
But isn't that amazing? It's a political act to give the characters the full humanity, you know? But I didn't think of it as being political, but, you know, I think all art is inherently political.
And that's why it's efficient. You know, as an example, I would like to talk about Frank Ocean.
This is a setup.
Who's not talking about politics, who's not
like
this, but he has the same impact, like I think, like John Lennon.
All the people living life in peace.
Well, I think just in being who he is, Frank Ocean is, again, inherently political in a certain way. You know, he's, you know, a bisexual or a gay artist in a predominantly straight industry, you know, and he's very open about it. And so that makes it inherently political. It's automatically political. But he's not, you know, walking on Washington or at the White House, you know, screaming about, you know, this bill or that bill.
Two are detractors that insist that this march will never add up to anything. Fuck you.
But I think the work itself, you know, as you said, you know, makes it political.
Can we talk about music in your movie? Why did you choose Goody Mob, Cell Therapy?
Cause I can see the young bloods hanging out at the store. 24/7 junkies looking for a hit of the blow. It's powerful.
Because when I was growing up in the South, it was just one of those albums when it came out. It was everywhere. And we wanted, you know, when the movie takes this jump to the third story, for the music to be really, really not aggressive, but to tell you, you know, the place you are, the time you are. And there's nothing more Atlanta than Goody Mob, Cell Therapy. But also, too, what the song is saying, again, because you're talking about politics so much, what the song is saying, I think keys into one of the themes of the film, you know. There are only so many choices for these young men who live in this world, like Moonlight or like Menace to Society.
Because the Dungeon family is the Goody Mob and Outkast crew. They were so iconoclasts in the US and in the rap.
And they were very political.
Yeah.
They were super political. Some of their politics were, you know, not always I agree with, but they were very, very political.
I think that right now there is a new generation, like with you, on even if you take like in the entertainment, in the TV show like Atlanta from.
Yeah, and I think what's happening is, you know, I think we're all just trying to speak in our own voice in a certain way. Like Atlanta is very Atlanta. It wouldn't be the same show if it was set in Miami, you know, but people respect it because it's not trying to be anything else. It's only trying to be the truth of Atlanta, and people respect that.
You grew up in Liberty City. How does it feel to live in a reality was not easy to live, but who is fantasized by all the world? Like Liberty City is in a video game.
Never was a quitter, tasted like a raindrop. She's got the look.
When you're a kid, you know, you make everything seem normal. So to me, Liberty City was normal. Like the whole world was like Liberty City. You know, I didn't know anything else but my neighborhood. You know, it wasn't until I started watching Miami Vice. I saw, oh, that's a different kind of Miami. And then you're right, with these video games, which is just ridiculous. Miami is like a fantasy for other people, you know, but for us, when you live there, the reality is quite different.
What surprised me in the movie is we all know that the kids are cruel between kids, but the high school games are so cruel.
What's wrong?
I'm good.
No, I done seen good. You ain't it.
Yes, and that's a real game.
Wow.
That's a real game. I mean, again, so Terrell and I grew up in like the 90s. You know, maybe today you wouldn't see it so much, but yeah, it's a real game. And again, it's about masculinity. You know, proving, you know, who's tough, who's not tough. You know, who's willing to go to an extreme and who's not willing to go to an extreme. And often what you do is you play the game so no one plays it on you.
What's going on with your Stevie Wonder project?
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful?
Nothing. Nothing.
Was that your imitation of Stevie Wonder?
No, it was not. I would never imitate Stevie Wonder, but you know, I have fun writing that project. I think when I wrote it, I wasn't ready to make it, you know? I don't think I didn't have the skills to make it. It was a fun process. I learned a lot. I was working at Focus Features when I did that. Maybe I'll come back to it, who knows? But right now, no, there's nothing happening with it.
What is the last script where when you watch the movie you say, wow, I will change my job?
Really? You change my job in a bad way and I can't do that, so I should quit? Or,
yeah.
You know, probably Beau Travail by Claire Denis.
Yeah.
This is the rhythm of my life. My life. Oh, yeah.
Which is, it's an older film. It's like from 1998, 1999. But every time I watch that movie, I go, I can't do that, you know? This person is just so much better than me, you know? But I'm young, so I have time.
Claire Denis, if you hear us, have you met Claire Denis?
No, never.
Do you have a message for Claire Denis? She's watching us.
Oh, I mean, I thank you so much for the work you've given to the world. I mean, I wouldn't be the filmmaker I am without watching your films. Chocolat, Beau Travail, I'm going to butcher it, Vendredi soir, how do you say it? Friday night, did I say it right? Thank you, my friend.
How did you discover Claire Denis?
So when I was in film school, I was just like, I was hungry. I would just eat everything. And so I was watching a film and there was an advertisement for Friday night on the DVD. I'd never heard of her, and so I watched that and I loved it. And then I was like, well, I want to watch her first film. And then it just kind of just went from there. I just kind of watched everything.
Tell me about Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's dope.
I was amazed to see Brad Pitt at the end.
Yeah. So when I made my first film, Brad Pitt's company, Plan B, they're this very big company, but they watch everything. No matter how small, they'll probably watch this interview. I can almost guarantee it. And so they heard about my first film, which is very small, low budget. And we kind of met, nothing happened. This was a time in my life where nothing would happen. Stevie Wonder, nothing would happen. And then when I left Brussels, when I left Brussels writing the script, I went right to a festival in the US, in the movie 12 Years a Slave.
That servant that don't obey his Lord shall be beaten with many stripes.
I was world premiering there, and at that festival, I introduced films, I programmed shorts. And so I hadn't seen them in like 5 years. And they were like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, hey, that's Brad Pitt. And I was like, I actually just came back from Brussels writing the screenplay for this film, Moonlight. Was he dressed as a Brad Pitt? No, he had like, his hair was crazy. His hair was like it is in World War Z. So it was like blonde hair everywhere. He's like super tall and kind of a nice dude. And then 3 years later, you know, we made the movie together and premiered it at the same festival. So yeah, Brad's a cool dude. Yeah.
Are you tired about the question about Trump?
We can't, any of us, be tired about talking about Brexit or Trump or any of these far-right movements, because the more we talk about them, the more people will be aware of them. Yeah? If we had talked about Trump a lot more a year ago, maybe we wouldn't have had the election result that we had. So.
But everybody was talking about Trump.
No, not the way they should have been, though. Nobody took him seriously. And then, in the back of the net.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Because like the more high class was joking about him, the lower class voted for him?
Exactly, exactly. So there was a disconnect. So as an artist, you know, I need to speak to all classes. So if you ask me about Trump, I have a duty to speak on it, yes.
Do you have friends who voted for Trump?
Not that I know of, but I have to, I must. Too many people voted for him for us not to have friends, and I want to know who they are because I want them to explain to me, you know, why they did. Maybe they'll teach me something that I don't know.
So what can we do now? That's a simple question, but...
You know, I think we all have to be just more aware of what's going on. You know, we have to listen to what he tweets, you know. We have to pay attention to what he tweets. And when we see him tweet things that we don't agree with, we have to retweet them and say we don't agree with them, you know. That's a very simple way, but I think we all just have to open our eyes a lot more. Like as you said, the upper class didn't take him seriously, the lower class believed everything, you know. Somewhere in the middle, there's a bunch of us who just didn't care one way or the other, you know? Maybe if we cared, these people would have heard these people more, and then...
You were at the Golden Globes with the Meryl Streep speech.
It was amazing.
Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose.
Oh, amazing. The whole room just was amazing, yeah.
But it was Meryl Streep talking to the higher class.
It was, because I mean, that's at the Golden Globes, that's who you're talking to, yes.
Yeah.
But again, the higher class, as you said, are the ones who didn't take Trump seriously. I think what Meryl was saying, and I'm not Meryl Streep, was no, you guys need to take this seriously and don't ever not take it seriously again. I think that's what she was saying.
I would like to forget Moonlight for a moment. Give me just your top five songs.
Top 5 songs ever? Bruh, you
right
tripping.
now.
All right, right now. So I listen to a lot of chopped and screwed music, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? It's like when you slow it down. So I'm listening to Solange, chopped and screwed, Tame Impala, chopped and screwed, Frank Ocean, chopped and screwed. So all chopped and screwed.
Yeah.
I would say For Us By Us by Solange.
All my niggas, whole world know.
Siegfried and Skylight 2 by Frank Ocean.
Got your medal, we're alone.
And then Tame Impala, the song Gossip. Yeah. Chopped and Screwed is magnifique. And The Less I Know, the Better. Chopped and Screwed too. Yeah.
RIP DJ Screw, and I'm gonna take my codeine syrup.
Yes. Can you play DJ Screw as an outro music for this interview? That'd be dope.
Last question.
Yeah.
Your definition of a clique?
I think a group of people who get each other and have each other's back. Yeah.
Welcome to our clique.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Be here, man.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
that.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall.